the worst state of movies. It might even lead to the drink.
Hey everybody, Wildman Wes here, and welcome to the Worst State of Movies, where we look at 50 movies made in the United States by state, and we decide whether or not they are deemed worthy of the title for being the worst movie made in such state. Y'all know the drill, folks. Let's get on the whirlybird and see where we go next. We now travel up to the northeast to New Hampshire, home of the White Mountains, the Franconia Notch State Park, also the Museum of the Wright Brothers of World War II. We also have Keller House, the oldest candy and ice cream shop known, and also one of the popular Santa's villages. The latter is part of our topic today. And I have to preface this. Remakes. For those of you playing the home game for a while, watching this channel, you know how I feel about remakes. They can either be okay, or a complete dumpster fire. Today we're talking about 2006's remake of Black Christmas. This movie is about a sorority house known as Delta Alpha Kappa, doing their normal Christmas Eve party, away from family, away from friends, away from relationships. But somehow, some way, it takes a turn for the worse, where a psychotic maniac breaks in and runs amok, taking people out one by one. We find out that this Santa killer, this Christmas killer, broke out of an insane asylum by luring a asylum Santa and taking his costume and getting out. And when one of the boyfriends of the sorority sisters starts talking about the story about this boy named Billy that they know about already because he allegedly lived in the sorority house before it was taken up by Greek life. We'll get into that in a little bit. As the sorority sisters are getting picked off one by one of the sisters has a boyfriend who starts telling the backstory of Billy, that he was born with a liver disorder and that his parents were on the edge with each other until his mother decided that the father needed to go. And she and her side piece boyfriend decide to take him out, and Billy is beside himself. His mother is not getting the satisfaction that she needs from her new husband, so she goes to other ulterior motives with Billy. Not getting into it too much, but let's just say that Billy's mom is now with child with a young girl named Agnes. When Billy starts figuring everything out, he takes out his mother and his stepfather. He also tries to take out his daughter/sister Agnes. I'm my own grandpa. Okay, just focus. Oddly enough, Agnes survives, even though she's now with one eye. As the sorority sisters are trying to figure out who's doing all this chaos, Agnes shows up. And Agnes and Billy are going on a free-for-all with the rest of the sorority sisters until Agnes and Billy meet their demise. I'm just gonna leave it at that, because this movie was an endurance trial. Now comes the fun part where I talk about what I like and what I don't like about this movie. I'm gonna start off with what I like, because there are some things that I actually do appreciate about this remake. I do appreciate the fact that there are a lot of nods to the original, because it starts off with Billy in his asylum cell, and the number on the cell is 1225, so Christmas Day. Nice Christmas nod. There's also a reference of the fact that the asylum is called the Clark Sanatorium. For those of you who have never seen the original, Black Christmas, back in the 70s, was directed by Bob Clark. He really didn't want to do it. He wanted to work on a movie that would eventually become iconic, but the studios wanted him to do a lot of other films he really didn't want to care to do, such as Black Christmas, such as Porky's, and eventually Bob Clark went on to direct the iconic holiday movie Christmas Story. Yes, the same man. Speaking of Christmas Story, there is a slight nod with one of the death scenes where someone gets taken out by an icicle. Not a Red Ryder BB gun, but an icicle. The icicle finally makes its debut taking somebody out, and I like that. Speaking of taking somebody's eyes out, they do at least give enough homage and love to the original when it comes to eye gouging. A lot of the death scenes have to deal with someone getting their eye gouged out, and at least they stuck true to the source material to a degree, even with the backstory of the person causing all the chaos. The cast did what they could with this. We have Kate Cassidy, we have Mary Elizabeth Weinberg, we also have the late Michelle Trachtenberg, we also have people like Robert Mann, Olivia Hudson, and scores upon others that do what they can. They've had fairly decent careers where they've done performances that are great. However, the biggest problem for me in this one is that they rely on one-liners and insults throughout the whole movie. And I mean that because if my mind serves me right, in the original Black Christmas, there was a little bit more of development between characters and with the backstory of the killer, and this one just felt more like a dark comedy with a sprinkle of the horror backstory just to make it relatable or even relevant. And it bothers me because I do enjoy a good insult. I do enjoy a good one-liner. However, this almost goes into that territory from previous episodes ago when I reviewed Johnson Family Vacation, where it just became insult overload. No. Steve Harvey and, Cedric the Entertainer. No. They had nothing on this one. This movie took the insults overload and cranked it to 11 like Spinal Tap. So that is one of the big reasons why I gave Johnson Family Vacation a thumbs up saying, you're not the worst. In this one, my gosh, it was like, is this a horror movie or just a really bad comedy movie? I don't know. Well, now I know. After looking over everything, even though I enjoy a good portion of this movie for what it was, you look at it as a remake, and going back and kind of looking over highlights from the original, stick to the original. If this was the first one you saw and not the original, I understand. However, you're going to get a little bit more disturbed with the original, for better or worse, but at least it's a better story than this. Black Christmas 2006, and that hurts. Especially because of the fact that this was made by Dimension Films. Dimension Films has been around for a while and has had a source of horror movies to choose from. They were riding high with Scream. All of a sudden they started doing remakes and sequels like Children of the Corn Revelation. You'd think after that one, which I reviewed before, this one would straighten up. And it didn't. It didn't. And it makes me really, really sad. But I'm going to get off my high horse now. Otherwise, I'm going to get a lot of horror people really upset. And I understand, because this is a genre that there's a lot of diehard fans out there that hold true to a lot of movies, remake or not. However, if you've seen this movie and you agree with me, leave a thumbs up. And if not, I totally understand. If there are things that you liked that I didn't, put it in the comments section below. I really want to understand, because I'm a big horror movie buff myself, and there are times that I don't understand things that I want to understand. And that's where you, the viewers, can come in and we can have a nice conversation about where we can find middle ground. And that makes me happy. And apart from that, make sure you share on social media. Most importantly, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for instant updates. Until then, I'm Wildman Wes, and we will see you next time for Worst State of Movies or any of the other stuff we have on Dragonfire Entertainment. I hope. Take care.
It's